I'm Kristin with the Rogers Public Library, and this week for Catch 'em All at the library, we will be focusing on Lampent. So in your craft packet, you will have a blue electronic tea light, 2 little yellow ovals, a plastic Christmas ornament ball that fits together with 2 pieces, some fishing line, 2 long strips of black paper, 2 strips with pieces to cut out, a large circle cut to the middle, a small circle with a hole cut out in the middle and a line cut, and then an additional small circle. So the first thing we need to do is cut the small circle to the center, and then we just need to cut out these pieces. Now they look like Christmas light bulbs. We only need the kind of bulb part, the egg-shaped part. We do not need this bottom part of the light bulb. So just cut out the little egg-shaped bulb section on each of these, and then I will show you how to put it all together to make Lampent. So to demonstrate, we're just cutting out this bulb part and not the little part that you would plug in. Now, once we have all of that done, all of these pieces cut out, we will start with one section of the ball. It doesn't matter which side, and our large circle with the slit cut into it. Now, this is going to make a little cone, this little hat. So we're going to overlap these 2 edges where the slit is just a bit so that it makes a little hat that will fit onto the bulb. We do want this part of the bulb where you would normally hang it up. We do want that facing out somewhere in the middle. We don't want to try and put it hidden in the top because we need something for our hat to grip. And we want to be able to open this ball when we're done so we can turn our light on and off. So we'll take 1/2 of the ball, and I'm gonna grab my glue stick, and we're going to just glue that flap down. And then once we have the flap glued down, so it makes, again, a little cone, we are going to put some glue on to our ball here. Just gonna put a bunch all over. You can also use hot glue for this part if you prefer. Either should work, but if you use the glue stick, get kind of a lot on there. And then we'll press that in. And just press all around so you get a good amount, as much of the glue as you can actually touching the paper so that it will hold it there. Now I'm going to set that aside and let it start drying. I'll grab the other half of the ball and our smaller circle, and we're going to do exactly the same thing with the smaller circle as we did with the larger circle. So overlap it just a bit to make a little tiny cone, and then put some glue on the ball in a smaller area this time because it is a smaller piece of paper. Press it on so that we get as much of that paper connecting to the ball as we can, while still leaving a little point for the cone. And then we'll set that aside to start drying. Now we are going to take our two sets of little bulb shapes. You have a shorter set and a longer set. We're going to fold all of these in half lengthwise. Kind of like you're making a little leaf. Once we have them all folded, we're going to start gluing them together. So take one of your pieces. I'm going to start with my small ones, but you can do this in whatever order you'd like. I'm going to put glue on one side of the fold. And I'm going to take another folded one and press those two sides together, so that it will now have 3 folded points. Then I will add glue now to the other side of the one that I just attached. Grab another piece, line it up to match, and press those sides together. So each time we do this, we're adding another layer. We're just going to do that all the way around until we run out of pieces. And then once we have used all of our pieces, we'll take one of the last 2 remaining sides that are still open, and we're just going to close those up. So we'll be closing up the last piece with the first piece that we used. And then we just kind of open it up, and there we go. Now we have a little 3D shape, the same shape of the little bulbs. So we're going to do that exact same thing for the long ones. And then once they are both done, you can set those aside for a moment. Now we're going to go back to our ball. You can use either side for this, really. The one with the smaller piece of paper is the bottom, and the one with the larger piece of paper is the top. Now we're going to glue the eyes onto the ball, but we're only going to glue them down halfway. So we want the eyes to be right about the middle, but again, we still want to be able to open our ball when it's done. So we'll just glue the bottom half of the eyes on. That way, once it's dry, the top half is still going to come up above the midline and is going to show that it is on the top piece of the ball as well, but it won't actually be glued on there, so we can still open and close our ball. We'll just put them on there with maybe about an inch or a little less in between the eyes, but if you want to adjust their spacing, of course you can. All right. Now, while we give the eyes a little bit of time to dry, we will take the top or the bottom, whichever one you're doing. If you're using the top, the longer bulb is going to go on the top. If you're using the bottom right now because you glued the eyes to the top, then you're going to use the smaller bulb as that one attaches to the bottom. Now for this part, we really need hot glue. If you don't have safe access to hot glue, let us know and we can figure something out and help you get this craft done. Now, since I'm using the top of the ball, I'm going to use the larger bulb. I'm going to put some hot glue onto the fatter end of the bulb, just around the tip, but all the way around, so I'm getting it on all of these little edges. And then we're going to set it right on top. And because this is going on the point, and there's not a lot of contact between the two pieces of paper, that is really why we need the hot glue for this part. Now I would hold it in place and just kind of blow on the hot glue to help it dry a little bit. Once it's dry enough that it's going to stay in place, we can set that back aside for a moment. Take our bottom bulb, or the top if you already did the bottom, and use the corresponding little piece the same way. So since I'm using the bottom half of the ball now, I'm using the smaller bulb shape, attaching it in just the same way, right to the point. And then I'm going to hold it in place and blow on the glue a little bit so it'll dry faster. Now, once the smaller piece is in place on the bottom, then we can take our little small ring. This is going to, we're going to overlap the edges just like we did for our little cone pieces, but just a little bit. So we're going to want it to fit around the small bulb section, but only go a little ways up. So we want it to go probably no more than halfway up the small bulb. So we just need to overlap a little bit. And then you can use hot glue or a glue stick for this, but it was probably easier to use the hot glue. But we just want to get a little bit of glue, just a tiny bit, all around the inside edge here. So if you are going to use the hot glue for this, you want to go very slowly in pushing the glue out so that you don't get a big glob of hot glue on here. So we just want the tiniest little bit going around the edges. And then stick it on there. And be careful. We do not want you to touch the hot glue directly. We just want to get enough of it on there that it's going to stay in place here. All right, so when we turn it right side up, we have the eyes, we have the small piece on the bottom, You have the small cone on the bottom, and then a little loop around the bottom. And that is the bottom half of our lampent, almost. We just need to add the arms. Now his arms are going to be these two strips of black paper. The way that I did this was to add just a little bit of hot glue right in the center, on the edge, both sides. You don't need to go all the way across, just a bit. Just right there in the middle. And then I stuck it in so that both sides get a little bit of the hot glue touching either the paper or some more hot glue, so that these arms will stay in place. Once the arms are attached at the bottom, we're just going to roll in each edge. You could roll it around a pencil, or just roll it up with your fingers, or even wrap it around your fingers. We're gonna roll it up as much or as little as you want to, really, and then let it go. And it will create those little curly arms. So we'll do the same thing on the other side. And we want them to be about the same, but they're not going to be exact. And you can shape them a little by either pushing them down or folding them up a little more, whichever way. Now, set that back aside for just a moment while we grab our top piece again. Now we want to grab the fishing wire. This is what we're going to use to hang up our lampent. So I am folding it in half, so there is a loop, and both of the cut ends are right here at the bottom. Now, I am going to put a little bit of hot glue onto the tip of our top little bulb, and then stick the fishing wire into that hot glue. This is going to attach both ends of the fishing wire to the top of our lampent so we can hang it up. So again, just hold that in place either until it dries or blow on it to get it to dry a little faster. And then if you don't feel like it's secure enough, if it kind of popped out of the hot glue or something, then you can add some more hot glue over the edges. But I think mine is good. So our last step now is to take our blue tea light, turn it on, set it in the bottom half, and close it up. And it will snap into place. Once it is snapped together, then you can hang him up. So that is our craft for today. We love our lampents, and I would love to see pictures of yours if you'd like to share them. And thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next week to make another Pokemon. Bye.